Madam Deputy Speaker, it's a pleasure to take part in this debate. We've heard fantastic maiden speeches from across the House, and I'm sure we've all enjoyed the insights from them. And it's a pleasure to follow the Honourable Member for Chipping Barnet. And I loved the way he set out his aspiration of the kind of country of abundance that we should seek. And he's entirely right, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'm just not sure that this budget is the way to get there. And if the penny drops with him over time, I hope he will be able to engage with us in coming up with a more constructive way of delivering the growth which this country needs. Madam Deputy Speaker, this is not only a budget of broken promises, but unfortunately, and this is an important issue, a bad faith budget. Because I don't want to rehearse, because there's so much to rehearse, the 50 promises not to raise taxes, the bogus 22 billion which wasn't validated by the OBR. It's a serious point, and it's good to see the engagement from members opposite, because you cannot afford in politics to have a reputation for being dishonest, for not doing what you say, and those opposite who laugh at that should remember. I will give way to the honourable member in a moment. Should remember the Cicero's advice. He's always better sometimes at giving it than he was at following it himself. But the foundation of justice is good faith. That is truth and fidelity to promises and agreements. Without that, you lose trust. I give way to the honourable member.
I thank him for giving way. Does he think that the former member for Uxbridge and South Ruislip was also honest at all times?
With respect to the honourable gentleman's point, I think the former Prime Minister and member for Uxbridge was true to himself and I think true to his heart and true in his expressions. Like all of us, he probably had his moments, but what the former Prime Minister never did was set out on a deliberate path to mislead people. He set out his honest view of the way the world should be. And unfortunately, 9.7 million people believed the promises of the now Labour government. 15,000 of my constituents thought what they were saying was true, and even as we see 410 members of Parliament now present thought that they were being honest. I give way to my honourable friend.
Thanks for giving way and for the speech that he is making. Does he agree with me that many of those people will now be feeling betrayed?
People do feel betrayed, and I would just say that we need to have an honest. We need to conduct our politics as honestly as we can, and as they broke their promise not to raise taxes on working people. The OPR has made clear that the next raise will overwhelmingly fall on working people. In fact, if you go through the numbers as I did, it turns out there's a bigger reduction in wages than there is net receipt to the Exchequer. It's quite a remarkable achievement. Only a Labour government could probably do that. They've also, of course, put up the cost of getting on the bus. If ever there was a symbol of working people travelling from my constituency into a low-paid job in Hull, £500 a year extra out of taxed income. I don't know why the honourable gentleman grins. I know he grins a lot. But it shouldn't be funny to him that someone who travels into Hull every day on a low-wage job pays £500 a year more because of the decisions that his government is making. A couple, it's £1,000 a year. It's real, and it shouldn't be glossed over. In my constituency, there's just one train station, and if you live in Withensea, there's no choice. There's no choice but to travel 26 miles to get there. The Prime Minister's constituents are blessed with a pick and mix of the tube, overground, trains, Ubers, Bolts and even Boris bikes to get them to the office. That is not the case in rural and coastal East Yorkshire. My constituents get the bus at 7 o'clock in the morning and they get another bus at 6 o'clock at night. That's their lived reality, and the serious impact of this budget should be recognised. Another broken promise was to pensioners who were told that they would have security in retirement, that they wouldn't have their benefits touched. £300 from the very poorest pensioners is not maintaining that. The very poorest pensioners are those eligible for pension credit. I will not give way. The very poorest pensioners are those eligible for pension credit, nearly 900,000 of them, who do not will not get this £300. That is the truth, and there's no point denying it. And finally, there's the awful betrayal of British farmers, many of whom work from dawn to dusk to ensure our supermarkets are full of fresh fruit and veg. It is a rural catastrophe, according to my constituent William Hodgson, who runs a small family farm near Withensea, and I ask them to think again.